On this week's show, we're discussing Xbox committing to next-gen hardware, our favourite games of 2025 so far, and a 2D God of War game could be in the works. All that and much, much more on this week's GamerGuild Podcast. Good game, everyone, and welcome back to your weekly gaming podcast, the GamerGuild Podcast, where myself and my co-host Richie get together to round up all of the week's video game news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com, or available up there in the digital clouds on your podcast platform of choice. Just search for the GamerGuild Podcast or GamerGuildTV and you will find us there every Monday, 8 a.m. This show goes live, and it has done for 97 episodes in a row now. Your podcast players for the week are people who I've already mentioned, myself at Arcane Rogue, and the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, indeed. And we do have a great show lined up for all you fine folks out there. But before we get into all that, don't forget to like the video, ring that bell, and subscribe, because I'm doing things backwards today. So you're kept in the loop with all of the great content we do here, such as this very podcast, our weekly live streams, some community chats and videos, and much, much more. We'll be back, of course, to I think this might be the first week, Richie, we get back to some actual gaming. It feels like it's been a long time. We've got a few things lined up. Let us know in the comments below what you'd prefer us to jump into. We do have Mario Kart. We have FBC Firebreak, which came up this week. And I'm sure there's a ton of other stuff, or we could get cracking with a playthrough or something. But do let us know in the comments below. And our Gamer Guild members, our guild heroes who support the channel extra little bit further, you probably have more of a say in that. So you might as well use your fantastic exclusive access to let us know and sway the vote to see what we'll be playing later this week. But in the meantime, Richie, we do like to kickstart every show with what we've been playing. So do us the honours.
I've been playing Expedition 33. I haven't actually played that much this week. It's just been last week was just a very busy week and didn't get round to playing. I didn't actually touch it till Thursday evening.
Wow. I actually was surprised because I'm the same. That's all I've been playing when I've got a moment. Yeah. And I'm still ahead of you, even though I don't feel like I've had any time to play this week as well. So I guess if you haven't and I haven't, then that's where we're both at.
You did start a few weeks before me, so.
True.
I've got over the ocean now.
With Escape, can you fly? Swim faster, no. Richie.
I can swim, but that's the only thing I've unlocked with him, really. Okay,
it's good. I do wish a couple of weeks in now that I know you can go to the map, but just like a kind of mini map for reference. I know it's been spoke about across Reddit
when you're running through the areas.
Just to know like what, because it does have some kind of paths of like where you can and some dead ends and some secrets. It would be nice, especially because this is from ex-Ubisoft devs, to just have some kind of tracking system to know where I'm at or which direction I should be going. And there's a few times I've gone off down a path and kind of thought, is this the main path? Or if I'm looking for trophies and secrets and extras, how far do I go down this path before I hit a cutscene? And then you're like, oh no, I'm trapped.
What I've noticed actually is with the main path tends to be like lit better. So sometimes I have little lights or flowers that are lit better than others, that kind of stuff to go, that looks like the main path to me. Let's go over here.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Have you done a bit of like kind of, when you first unlock Escape, a bit of more of exploring around the first kind of area you get to? I realised most of the stuff there is way too hard.
Yes, I did some of the white Nevrons, or like the chromatic Nevrons. I've seen one or two of them. I'll come back. I do believe you can do all that in mop-up as well, because they're just in like separate areas, so there's nothing that you can't just like track back to when you're higher level. I did a little bit of grind here and there, but then naturally you want to push the story on. So I'm a couple of chapters ahead, I think.
I wouldn't say I was grinding. I was more exploring, and then I found like a few mini what do you call it? Guest roll mini games.
Yeah,
which can be quite fun, but also quite frustrating sometimes.
Yeah,
I found one. It was a platforming challenge. Could not do it for whatever reason. It didn't seem even that hard, but I just could not do it.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Yeah, and of course, this week as well, you also played some Pokemon.
I did.
That went up on
Pokemon
Thursday.
Blue.
How deep into Blue are we now? I've not looked for a few episodes.
So I'm about to get my 6th badge. That's going to probably be the opening of the next episode, episode 9, which I haven't yet recorded. Episode 8 is... do you remember like when in the old games when you had to go through Silvercore and all them bloody warp tiles?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a massive building. It was like, yeah, I've done that. So next I'm going to go fight Sabrina, and then I'm on to heading over to Cinnabar Island. So I'm getting deep into it.
You're getting there. Yeah. Did you use a guide for the tiles, or did you just wing it from memory?
I tried to wing it. I was opening the videos like, after consulting the internet, the tile I'm looking for is on floor 3.
Yeah. It's,
so I'm honest about it. I tried, but it was like at some point you just get...
You have to. With today's sensibilities and the access to infinite tutorials, it makes sense that you lean on it a little bit.
It's been a long time since I played Pokemon Blue, but if you play the remakes like Fire Red or Leaf Green, when you like open a new area, it comes up saying like floor 3, which can be very useful for navigating. Yeah,
just to give you some reference point.
Yeah, the old game doesn't do that.
Yeah,
you just dump in a floor that looks very, very much similar to every other floor because you have such a small like window that you can actually view of the area. It's like, I have no idea where I am.
Yeah, I have no recollection of this place. Fantastic. Good. It's ticking over nicely, and as I said, we'll be back to some gaming. I need to pick one for my playthrough. I'm leaning towards, at the moment, Uncharted 1, just because I know you played through them quite recently to get a couple of platinums, and I've done The Last of Us recently, but I just think it's time. I'm getting that vibe for just some good old action adventure stories as well. And there's seemingly not. I say out loud, there's nothing major that I want to play right now. But I don't know how long Expedition 33 is going to take. I'm still deep into that one. I think, as I said, I'm a few chapters ahead of you. There's a couple of interesting story beats coming your way. You'll have to message me when you get to them, because I know our Discord was popping off about like some things at the end of Act 3 or Act 4, and I know Tom, who's finished the game now, was talking to him yesterday about it as well. So yeah, interesting stuff.
I mean, I've had a major thing to happen that I wasn't seeing coming.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking
actually, I've got I've got the trophy now for all your party members.
Okay, all right, yeah, I know what you're at then.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, let us know.
That's kind of where I left off. So
let us know in the comments below what you're playing at the moment. It's always interesting to see what our audience is chipping away. If there's any recommendations you got for us. As I said, I was speaking to Tom yesterday when we took our families down to the beach, and he recommended a game called Alters, which I recall being announced, I think, at one of Jeff Keighley's events, but I don't remember too much of it. So it is in our Game of the Year conversation, which we're going to be discussing as part of the news this week. Aside from that, I've been chipping away at Mario Kart World. I've finished it. Finished, quote unquote, as you have, where I've got the 3 stars in all of the Grand Prix races. I've got them in all the knockout races. So now it's just kind of 100cc, 150cc replayability, and unlocking all they have stickers within the games. Like every time you do something, you get like a little sticker. There's no real use or purpose for the sticker. Typical Nintendo fashion with having like no trophies. They just kind of, you've unlocked it, but there's no real reason for it.
It's kind of an in-game trophy.
Yeah, essentially. That's the only way you can really track what you have and haven't done in the game. And I did notice a post from How Long to Beat, which is IGN's kind of subcategory website, and it was like, how long to beat? 3.5 hours for completionists, 105. So it's like the vast gap in just like what you would say is completed every race, done everything, seen everything, to actually getting everything is vastly different.
Is complete like literally do every race, finish every race?
I'd imagine every star across every CC engine, and then every character and skin. So when you're driving around now, they have these like Happy Meal boxes that are in like Yoshi's takeout windows, and when you go through them, you get like a chili dog or a soft drink or something, and it gives you a little speed boost rush. So it's just like one of the red mushrooms. But when did you do it? Your character changes skin as well, and then that unlocks said skin within the kind of character tiles. So I guess that's the replayability there. You go through the races with different characters and hit these little drive-through points. And but with Mario Kart, I always think it's one of them things that I'm just going to play it on and off for the next decade. So it doesn't really bother me that much when it comes to completionist levels of things. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week. I was almost tempted to dive back into EA Sports FC 25 because it was on offer on the Switch. And then I didn't because I thought, well, the new one is out soon and the football season's off at the moment. But I wanted something different to play other than Mario Kart and Batman Arkham because it's like getting 20-year-old nearly.
I mean, the football season is kind of off. These are kind of friendly tournament that's going on.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it exists entirely to satisfy the directors at FIFA's egos.
Yeah, and no one's paying attention
and the
to
bank
it.
balances. Yeah,
I've
been watching the highlights. But
yeah, I've watched the
you
odd
can
thing.
tell like the European teams are treating it largely as a end of
training
season
game.
kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But the less said about that, the better. And yeah, we'll probably be playing some things in the coming future. There's a couple of Game Pass announcements, PlayStation Plus announcements, which we'll get into as part of the news. But Richie, we cannot get into that until you introduce us specifically to the
graciously gathered GamerGuild Gazette, aka the news.
The news. And as always, the news is brought to you by our wonderful guild heroes, the fantastic members of the channel who support us that extra little bit further, just like you can. If you listen to the show, if you enjoy our content, if you watch any of the stuff we do and think, you know what, I want to support these guys and their merry band of friends as we break down all the news and play games with you for, is this our 6th year or 7th year, technically? I know we do that calendar joke, but...
we're coming up to 6 years of making content.
Coming up to 6
so
years.
We'll be in our 7th
annual
year.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love to say it. And as I said, we are encroaching on episode 100 of this very show, our new iteration of our podcast. We're not changing it. We told you we weren't going to change it up. Episode 468 in total. So we're coming up on that big 500 in a couple of months' time as well. We're going to try and do something special, maybe live stream, maybe gaming, maybe guest appearances. We'll have a look at that. But yeah, thank you for your support. We couldn't do it without you. And if you have been watching for some time, and especially if you're one of them dirty podcast freeloaders, think about it. 99p. It's you can't buy anything for 99p now. Just our love and affection and the podcast early. Richie,
Can't.
Not much news this week, in all honesty. It's been a quiet one after the Summer Game Fest bonanza that we had a couple of weeks back and Xbox Showcase and everything else. It's kind of dying down a bit. However, we are coming up on the middle of the year now as we hit the end of June. So I thought it would be a good point to maybe take some time and actually just reflect a little bit. Take some stock, some consolidation of the months that have passed us by and what a crazy world we live in now where we've had a new console launch, we've had new hardware announcements, handhelds, and a bunch of new titles that have seemingly came out and just surprised people. It's always nice with the gaming industry where a couple of indie titles break through and a couple that have maybe gone under the radar. So we've got a list of just kind of the best rated games that have came out in 2025 so far. Some we've played, some we haven't played. I would love our audience to get in on the comments as well to just let us know a little bit more about what they think is their game of the year so far. Because again, we do all this for you folks out there. And yeah, I guess I don't know where you want to start, Rich. You just want to pick one and talk about it a little bit?
Are we going to go with games that have come out this year or games that we've played this year?
Which is a combination of
I'm
both.
I'm just looking back through my trophy list and seeing what I've actually been playing this year.
I just think a combination of both. I think start with the ones that have actually came out this year, just to give I'm
going to move Pokemon Blue off to the side. And actually Pokemon Violet, which I replayed this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're nowhere near close this year. But I'm thinking things like Metaphor, which came out end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Which I played a lot of in January, February. So yeah, where would you like to start?
I think we'll start with one that we've both played. Don't know if either of us have finished it yet, but I want to start with Split Fiction.
Split Fiction.
I feel like that was the earlier one to come out and launch. And yeah, we both played it with our partners, respectively. Did you ever get around to finishing it, or is it just kind of just still sat there?
Yeah,
you did?
No, I've got the platinum.
Oh, well, there you go then. Take it away. What were your overall thoughts so far? Is it kind of like fell off in your mind's eye, or is it still up there with one of the favourite things you've played?
You know what? It is still up there and one of the favourite things I've played because of it being unashamedly a co-op game, and my partner is a gamer herself. It's very rare that you actually get a game where we can both sit down and play together. That isn't the kind of classic multiplayer affair where this is a narrative-driven action game that we can both sink our teeth into
Yeah.
while playing together. You don't get that many games like that.
No,
And it did not outstay its welcome. It's challenging in places.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I really, really enjoyed it. And I would quite happily play more games of that ilk. In fact, I think we intend to go back because we played Get Out.
A Way Out.
A Way Out. I always forget the name of that one.
Yeah.
We played A Way Out last year. We played Split Fiction this year. And I think we want to go back and play It Takes Two, Brothers, The Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah.
Like the whole, basically the Haze like collection we want to go back and play.
Yeah, it's definitely a genre unto itself, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is. That's one of the things I will always sing its praises for. It's not a single player game that you've tagged on a multiplayer element, and it's not a multiplayer game that, because of the nature of being online, sometimes the narrative goes missing because you're too busy chatting with your friends or online with like a big party situation where largely just I find them games just descend down to just getting big in numbers for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It is very much, yes, this is a story-driven game that two people have to play together. And that's basically, the game comes from that concept. I love it for it, so...
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think me and my wife must be about 2/3 through now. We've hit some bits where it was like a little bit, as you said, a bit challenging with the timing of things and like the kind of the multitasking of jump, wall run, dodge a laser, get through a hole before it shuts while being chased by things. It gets a bit frenetic at times. But we persevered. But then obviously we moved house. So it's kind of like priorities and having that time to sit down together and not do anything other than chill. It's
that time to sit down when you're both actually in the mood to play.
Yeah, exactly. It's another, I guess, risk to cop is that you need
that game as well.
Yeah, you need that. We have done a little bit of Mario Kart this week, but yeah, as you said, it's that double-edged sword of yes, you need the time together, but then you also need to both be in the mood. And I think sometimes when you both had busy work weeks and one of you is more like from my side, one of us is more into gaming, the other side would happily do that, whereas she'd happily just like sit and watch a TV show or something. That's where it's like, oh, can I get you in for like maybe 2 hours? We'll do another level, and yeah, well, so like, it's been a while.
It's like this week, I didn't play much for the first half of the week because, to be honest, I was just shattered. So like, and because my main game is Expedition 33, which requires you to basically be on the ball. I was going, you know what? I'd love the story of that, but the mechanics of the battles I feel would frustrate the hell out of me, and my reaction time would be just not there. It's not there when I'm actually on form. Never mind when I'm exhausted. So you're just like, right, I don't want to play that right now, much as I'm loving the game. So yeah.
Plus, if you're after them collectibles, you need to be focused on not just wandering past one by accident.
It's something. Well, with Expedition, should we go on Expedition 33 because we're kind of talking?
Yeah, we might as well get into it.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
It's sometimes where it is punishing. If you go for a parry and you mistime it, sometimes your character's dead.
What difficulty are you playing it on?
Standard.
Don't recall if I dropped mine down.
I'm struggling with for my attacks. I can pretty much get perfect with every single attack, no bother. When it comes to enemy attacks, sometimes it's the way sometimes they wind up their attack. I just can't seem to get their timings down.
It's they do the feint, don't they, where like they look like they're gonna hit you, and you're like dodge, and then you do like a little roll, duck out the way, and they're like, oh no, I'm just a bit slower than you thought, and
and there's sometimes I'm sure that I've hit parry in time it hasn't worked. But then they started throwing like the gradient stuff in you. And if you've accidentally, look, it's winding up, okay, I'm going to parry. No, they suddenly went to a gradient attack. And I parried, then I've pressed the gradient deflection button and it just didn't work. So it's like, oh.
Yeah, the gradient attacks have caught me out probably more than the rest, I think, because it's for those who haven't played the game, it's so far, probably, I'd say 10 plus hours in, they introduce another like level of combat where the enemies have like after so many moves they basically power up for a special type of attack, and you can still parry it, but again, as Richie alluded to, the window of parrying is quite small because it is quite a niche attack, but everything goes like monochromatic, like black and white, and if you deflect it, you don't have to get some hits back on them if you do manage to parry it.
The gradients aren't too bad because when it goes black and white, right, I hit R2, I'm good. You've got quite a wide window there. Same with the jumps. That's actually quite
Yeah, the jumps are quite decent.
Too bad. But if you press a parry or dodge before it, sometimes it just doesn't work. Because you're locked into the parry for a bit longer than it looks like you should be sometimes. And it's like, ugh. But you know what? I've found a way around because I just keep getting hit a lot. So I've give all my characters lifesteal.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Just get that. Just top that. Keep topping that health back up.
But yeah, I guess we're not anywhere near the end of the game probably as it stands. And anything so far that you'd like to see from a sequel? Because inevitably there's going to be one. This game's going to be in Game of the Year conversations. It's going to win a ton of plaudits and awards. Any kind of quality of life things or what you'd like to see a bit more?
Yeah, I think the quality of life we were talking about before we started recording is when you're in areas, I want a map. I want to just see where I've been in that area. It's just because sometimes you do get lost. All the different areas kind of have their own kind of aesthetic and all look stunning. But sometimes you walk around a corridor and walk around another corridor, walk around another corridor. It's like, this all looks the same.
Especially in the manor house.
So, yeah. So having a map so I can just have a quick glance to see where I've been.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be damaging to the game at all. I also want them to patch New Game Plus so you can carry your collectibles forward into your New Game Plus playthrough.
Yes, yeah. I think there'll be a few
quality of life. I missed a record in the prologue where I wasn't expecting to have any collectibles.
Yeah, because it's just started.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I talked to everyone anyway. But I missed a record, and at the time of recording, that means I need to do another full playthrough.
Would it not just...
is a bit shit.
Yeah.
Now they don't carry forward, so you have to get more than one goal.
Right. So yeah, I think my thing I missed in the opening is fighting the mime, but which I can do that separate. Yeah,
Game Plus, go do it. Done.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm hoping by the time I get to the end that is something that's been patched because I've seen Reddit wanting it to be patched.
Absolutely.
So,
in terms of the game itself, I don't think graphically they can do much different. It looks stunning and gorgeous.
Stunning.
I think the voice acting is second to none. One of the things I would like is maybe just a bit more of an ability to track what you are doing. Well, I mentioned it earlier on, but like when you come across the monochromatic Nevrons, like you speak to them and they tell you the mission, and then you leave, and it's like, in 30 hours time, how am I supposed to get back to this particular doorway and this particular point in this particular corner of the area to find this one guy who looks like a pile of rocks and remember, oh shit, he wanted me to go collect three things for him in another part of the area that I didn't have the ability to do then, so I've had to come back and just some kind of quest log so I can just keep things in order in my own mind.
I think the ironic thing is, when you're at camp, you can write in Gustav's journal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they already have a journal in law. So even if they had it, so we're not going to give you a proper quest log. Mm-hmm. But when you go to camp and you're writing this journal, you can then access this journal, and anything like any interesting encounters like that are kind of listed, so you can have a flick through.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so far, what are you thinking for your Game of the Year watch then? Up there?
It's up there. Yeah, it's definitely up there. At the moment, if I had to give my Game of the Year, I think I'd probably go to Oblivion over it.
Wow.
But I'm still early days in the story, and I feel like by the time the end, the strength of that narrative could win it out.
Interesting.
But we are talking the difference between one game I've got a platinum in and one game I've probably got 10 hours in.
Yeah,
they're not comparable yet.
Well, let's compare it to a game we've got no hours in, or some games. Some of the other top-rated ones that have came up this year, you've got Elden Ring Night Rain. It's received quite high scores across the board, probably sitting around like 8s or 9s. Of course, this is the expansion to the critically acclaimed Elden Ring, where it gives you kind of a From Software's take on multiplayer cooperative experience, where it subverts your traditional Elden Ring experience of a core Souls-like and tweaks it into an adventure that's, you kind of have to power through to get to the boss at the end of the day with 2 other companions. I've seen mixed reviews of people saying like it's not really the same because of the companionship element. I've seen some kind of little bugs with it where people have said because you can't really save anything until you get to the end of a run, and if you drop out, you get penalised for dropping out. So if you get in your party, if there's only, say, like you and me, and we sign up with like a random person who just fucks off into the map and does his own thing and dies, that's then going to impede us when we come to the boss fight at the end of the day. And then inevitably we lose. We're losing points and, more importantly, probably time. And there's no way of like kicking the player or voting to move on or voting to wrap up the day early. So there's a few quality of life things with it, but nothing game breaking by all means.
Yeah, I think that's the point of like the penalisation, is to stop people joining a group and dropping out, joining a group and dropping out. But yeah, some sort of voting system could be useful.
I think if it just takes so long to get through a run, it is time commitment. That's why I always fell off one with like Destiny raids, because I don't have like 4 or 5 hours of my night to commit to just this like bullet sponge boss at the end of it.
As someone who's like used to raid in World of Warcraft, you're committing your evening to that. So it's like, okay, we're raiding tonight, 7 o'clock, everyone at the mouse and keyboards. Yeah, we're going. Our objective for the raid is to get to this point, so you're playing till you get to that point. Yeah, and because it is that kind of, because it is a multiplayer thing. You kind of have to be. I feel like you kind of have to be committed to the full run. Yeah, because otherwise you're messing around other people who are. Yeah. So but there again, as adults with like families and stuff to do, you can't always. You can go right. I'm 100% committed to this, and our ring goes. Actually, sort of things happened. Yeah, something in real life's happened. Yeah. I need to go deal with that. In terms of Elden Ring, obviously, we've said many times on the show, it's not our type of game. We respect it, but
absolutely, it'd be naive of us to suggest that Elden Ring wasn't worth its salt. Not bad for a first attempt by FromSoft, I think. Every studio tackles this, I think, in their development cycles of, right, how do we produce a game that it is a live service game, but I guess without diminishing their core values of, well, FromSoft, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, all them that traditionally are single player games, with that little element of like people can leave messages and stuff within the world for you. So there is a connected element to the game. But to go all out of just 3-way fire team co-op roguelike essentially, it's a bit of a pivot, and they've done it justice.
They're taking the mechanics of Elden Ring and playing with the format. And you know what, if you're a huge Elden Ring fan who's pretty much done everything the game has to, but you adore that combat, then this is probably a good way of like really getting more out of the game while you wait for the next big FromSoft drop.
And the next big one was it's probably going to be the Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, right? That got revealed.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, there's plenty of other Soulsborne games out there. So but I think FromSoft is. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's actually been revealed, isn't it?
It's kind of mad that to be fair, they get the games that are quite a clip. All things said and done, like between the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC and then now this, it was like they're churning some stuff out. I'll be interested to see what controversy comes at the end of the year if Elden Ring is up for Game of the Year again. Because could you imagine, you get Elden Ring wins 3 years ago, and then they get the Shadow of the Erdtree awkwardly squeezing into the Game of the Year conversation, which pissed loads of people off, ourselves included. And then Night Rain, which is a multiplayer co-op spin-off using the same Elden Ring map and contents, comes in at a 3rd year in a row.
See, this is the thing for me where is Elden Ring Night Rain standalone, like truly standalone, i.e. you do not have to own Elden Ring to play it. Mm-hmm. Then yes, this can for me be in part of the Game of the Year conversation. Yeah. But if it was DLC to Elden Ring, I don't think DLC should be in the Game of the Year conversation. I think it should have its own category for DLC or additional content. Yeah. That should be a category, because I think DLC is so much ingrained in what video games are now. Mm-hmm. I feel like they do deserve credit, but they are not a full game. Yeah, Game of the Year should be for full games. I also think remasters should be in a separate category. Remakes, debatable, could be if there's a significant change. Mm-hmm. So like Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's a different game. So that I would say could be Game of the Year. where I'd say Oblivion. Well, actually, Bethesda call Oblivion a remaster anyway, so Oblivion shouldn't be eligible for Game of the Year. Oddly enough, it would be my personal Game of the Year at the moment, but by that criteria, I don't think it should be in the running because it should be in the remaster remake category, which doesn't currently exist.
I'm sure our chat will hold you to account come the end of 2025. Moving on to some other games that again have had high praise. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the very successful sequel to the original title, kind of came out improved on everything from the original game. You're journeying through 15th century Bohemia with more, I guess, realism. It's thrilling combat. It's a polished overall experience. It's very much that deep RPG elements where you live your life as a knight in 15th century Europe. But it does have that element of reality where you can die pretty easily. I heard nothing but praise for this one, but it's one of them games that it just goes under the radar a little bit. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the publishers, the developers. I know the original game got some tinge to it for character models and stuff like that. But yeah, where are you sitting on?
When it came out, it was nothing but praise, and I'm sure there's people just playing it constantly anyway. But it feels like one of them that is, when especially comes to like the mainstream gaming press, it feels like it's just disappeared in the forefront of their minds for now. Come awards time, it might be right back in the focus. But I feel like it doesn't feel like it's a game that's entering the mainstream consciousness of gamers. So it's like either you're in or you're not kind of game.
Yeah, it's one of those for me. I think it looks like you would have fun, but I feel like I just wouldn't really know what to do in it because it's so ground and real. And I know it's got like a thrilling story and stuff throughout, but just I feel like it's the deep RPG elements of it, a bit like Red Dead Redemption 2, where I got a bit. Are we really doing the so granular that it almost like stops being a game and becomes more of a simulation? And I think that's where you lose me a little bit.
Yeah, you want things to be a bit more gamified. It's like,
well, even the combat with I played For Honor, the Ubisoft one, and it was fun as the block lift, raise your shield, your different strengths of thrusts and stuff in first person. I'd rather just be in third person and bash stuff around and like.
It's one of them games where for it to be fun, you have to be good. And when you're not good, it's not fun. And it's got quite For Honor, it's got quite a steep learning curve. Once you I feel like with something like For Honor, once you kind of got down to like the kind of more realistic mechanics, it probably is really fun. But when we played on stream, didn't we? Was it me, you, and Rob? And we just got our asses kicked, and it felt like Spawn.
That was Chivalry 2.
Way to Spawn. Oh, Chivalry 2, yeah.
Yeah, but similar
kind of. But yeah, I found it difficult. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I think, deserves a bit more spotlight than it gets. And I could be tempted to play if there wasn't a million other games coming out this year.
Well, that's the main problem. What we always go back to, isn't it? One thing we might go back to, now it's all finished and wrapped up, is Lost Records Bloom and Rage. So this is the one that came out from Don't Nod. Storied history, of course, doing the Life is Strange series. Handed the reins back over for that one, went on to do their own thing. It was delayed to get it out of the window for Life is Strange, and then ironically Life is Strange came out, and no one really had any interest to it prior to last Christmas when it came out. And then Bloom and Rage came out with like a double episode drop on PlayStation Plus. You got episode 1, then episode 2 a couple of weeks after. And I think both of us and a lot of our audience in the same page of we'll kind of wait till it's finished. All things said and done though, narrative, chapter, promising start for the series. I don't even know where we're at now with it, but so far it's getting 9s and 10s. Are we still waiting until it's all wrapped up?
Oh yeah, I'm not touching it till it's all wrapped up. Just purely because I want to be able to experience it all in one go without having to potentially wait months. But I feel like the cadence of release has been quite good. I'm not sure is it fully out yet.
I think we've maybe had episodes 1 and 2.
It might only be 2 episodes, you know. I'm trying to find that info.
If it's only 2-part, then it will be all out. It seems odd split.
Tape 1 is Bloom and tape 2 is Rage.
Oh, so it's fully out then?
Yeah. I think it is literally.
Well, that seems
out
even
and
more.
It's in PlayStation Plus.
It seems even more odd then if it's only just 2 parts. It's like, why split it up? For the sake of what, the extra month development time they might give themselves?
Yeah.
It's such an odd take. I don't know why. I know it comes from the Telltale world, but yeah.
I like the way like things like Telltale games and like Life is Strange and stuff are split into chapters. I just, when I want to play it, what ideally I'd like to do is say, if it's a 5-chapter game, chapter 1 on Monday, chapter 2 Tuesday, chapter 3 Wednesday, and play through the course of a week. Rather than, I think this is where I had a problem with Life is Strange 2, where after loving Life is Strange and Before the Storm, 2 I started playing on release, and by the time I played through chapter 2, chapter 3 was still months away, and it's like when it came out, my interest had already gone, and I couldn't remember what was going on in the plot and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I like it broken down, but I like it released as a single package.
Yeah, agreed. It's one that it's definitely on my radar. Don't Nod, I think, fantastic. Like, if you look at their history of stuff, what they've done recently, they've not had the accolades that they've deserved. I know I was a big advocate for Banishers Ghosts of New Eden. I know last week we spoke about the hype for their new sci-fi game that's coming out, where it was the Souls Explorer going through, I think it was like a spaceship or a lost planet to try and find a colleague back, and it was a lot of like climbing through like Arctic environments and such. So I think narratively and character development wise, the studio over there have got their stuff down to a T. It just seems like they maybe don't have that wind in the sails. They haven't quite hit that magic yet to elevate them to that next level, because the games look gorgeous and the character and story that is there. It's sometimes you just got to wait to hit strike at the right time, don't you? It's so weird how it can work. Like, if it came out maybe a couple of years later, or it maybe got an exclusivity deal with one of the big hardware brands, just something to get it in there. And we see that a lot in the industry. We're seeing it right now with FBC Firebreak. Remedy make terrific single-player, narrative-driven games, but then with this, they've tried to do something different, and they put it on Game Pass, they've put it on PlayStation Plus, I guess, to try and get the game in people's hands, and hopefully that'll give it the groundswell it needs to go on to success. But it's such a throw of the dice with any kind of thing like this, and I hope Don't Nod do well.
I think it's marketing. It's getting the right eyes on the game at the right time. You're too close to a bigger title. People more focused on the bigger title. You could have a massive marketing campaign, but if it's the wrong people looking at it, then they're not going to be interested. So it's a bit of an art form. So Don't Nod seem to actually be making very good games, but just don't seem to be getting the attention that they deserve, really. Like, Banishers Ghost of New Eden is a game I do want to actually go back and play.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite games of the other year.
I remember totally calling it, looking at it and going, I feel like this is going to be an underrated gem that not enough people are going to play, me included. Then I think like a week later, you came on the podcast and went, I played it, you're right.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of them, again, like you said, back to marketing stuff. If this was made by a Sony first-party team, like this was like Sucker Punch or Santa Monica or something, and we're like, oh, this is from the creators of God of War, you'd be like, yep, it's third person, it's got action adventure, it's got great characters, it tells a distinct story, the setting's beautiful, it looks gorgeous. You'd be like, yep, it's just a PlayStation first-party game and it would do well. But because it was Don't Nod and they maybe seemingly didn't market it as much, it just kind of went a little bit under the radar, and it's like, oh, it had all the trappings of a phenomenal game, but
I remember thinking
just lacking
that with Banishers. The gaming press weren't really talking about it as much as like, surely that's when they are meant to come in and go, don't sleep on this game, guys. But I feel like a lot of the gaming press now, I mean, I'm a big kind of funny fan, but it feels like they're just playing the zeitgeisty games.
Yeah.
Like on stream.
Let's play Warzone, let's play Fortnite.
Let's play Elden Ring, that kind of the stuff that's already popular, because that's what gets the
views. Yeah.
And that's how they earn a living. So you can't judge them too much for it, because it's literally what they need to do. But when I first got into kind of funny, I like them playing niche games that I'd never even heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, similar. They did Uncharted week this week, and I dropped in to watch like them play Crash Bandicoot, Jack and Daxter, Uncharted again, Last of Us roguelike mode. It was like interesting to see they've done such an eclectic mix of games in the last week, more than they have done in years, because they've dedicated a week to different genres and such. But we digress. Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, seemingly complete now and superb, from presentation to relatable characters and great narrative-driven story. The other one, which we won't really lament too long on because I've spoken about it at length, is just Mario Kart World. It's more Mario Kart. I've said everything I need to say this week and last week about the exploration, the open world bits, where it could be improved, where it probably will be improved, and how long it takes to beat. But it'll win probably a couple of awards, I would imagine, just by proxy of being Mario Kart, like family-friendly game or racer.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be in the mix for some stuff. Like, people have been asking for new Mario Kart for a long time, and we got it with the Switch too. So
yeah, there's a lot of people comparing elements of it, which is like it wants to do things a bit like Forza Horizon with the open world element, but it just doesn't merge them together. So it would be quite ironic if Microsoft somehow drop a new Forza Horizon on us, like 6, because we think we're due one later this summer, and then it comes to like the racing category awards at the end of the year, and it's like Mario Kart World versus Forza, and it's like, actually, Forza's probably going to be the better all-round game, because Mario Kart is such a known quantity, and that's not a bad thing. It just didn't do anything new for me to go, wow, this is a game changer. They've really elevated the type of gameplay and stuff. It's like, no, if you like Mario Kart, it's more Mario Kart.
I've just talked about Nintendo. I've just looked at on the Nintendo store the Nintendo GameCube controller, $58.99. Like, that's pricey. That's for that controller.
But people will
I feel
pay
like probably
£80 for Mario Kart. It's pricey.
Yeah,
for a game you can complete in 3 hours.
Yeah, true. I feel like I probably won't be. I've got the N64 controller, but I probably won't be picking up the GameCube controller.
Yeah. Moving on though, next up we've got The Alters, which is the one I mentioned at the start of the show. Tom recommended to me. So again, since that lad got his PlayStation Portal, I think he's playing more games than you and me, possibly.
Definitely is, yeah.
But yeah, he was recommending me. He was telling me about it, but both of us was trying to also stop our children from drowning in the sea at the same time. So it was a bit like, when you're listening, but you can't really take in what you're trying to be told.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Alters. So this is the Jeff Keighley announced thing. Came out. This one is an engrossing combination of base building, survival, and self-reflection that Alters is a captivating experience managing a workforce comprised of your alternate selves. While you race to avoid being fried by a looming sunrise on a barren alien planet, it's consistently engaging, but it's moral dilemmas and interactions with your human resources that'll stick with you after the roll of credits on this sci-fi gem. So, from memory, the way Tom was explained it to me is you have all these like essentially clones, like alternate versions of yourself, and you have to utilize them to get things done around your base. So, for example, if it was me, and maybe you needed something done in the engineering department, Richie, you would use a alternate clone version of yourself to go and do that job. But the inherent risk there is other versions of you will have to do riskier jobs and you might lose them. So it's like, would you essentially kill yourself, Richie, to get a job done? Like, and it ends up being a bit like Rick and Morty, where it's like, who is the prime Rick? At the end of it all, it's like, who actually has the say on who goes and does the job where you might explode and be blasted off into space. But you're doing it for the survival of Richie Prime. But at the same time, you are murdering yourself. And does that sit well with you morally? So yeah, Tom was explaining it, saying it's like but is there only one you after you live with a few versions? So I'm probably not doing the game quite as good justice, but yeah,
I know what I mean. It's going into the moral dilemma of it all.
Yeah, it's like it's got a bit of like Fallout Shelter-esque nature to it as well, where like you all end up living in essentially like a space bunker together. But yeah, you've got medical and engineering and kind of all the other stuff. And yeah, Tom was absolutely like loving it. So again, he was the first one on Expedition 33, and now this one. So I'll take his recommendation. But yeah, just watching the trailer back at the same time, I'm like, oh, I do remember it. And I think you and me thinking it was quite trippy and weird. I didn't realize it was out. To go back to our donut thing about marketing, I haven't really seen anything about this being out.
No, me either. I remember like covering it probably at Game Awards or something. I didn't realize it dropped though.
Yeah. June 13th. So just this past week, it did drop and come out. But yeah, it's as I said, receiving very well reviewed. Very well reviewed. That's not even English. It's being very well reviewed as well. One of the other ones I'll touch on because it's probably arguably one of the biggest releases of the year, I guess, is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Commercially, yes, but I feel like the further we get away from Assassin's Creed Shadows, the more it feels like, oh yeah, there was an Assassin's Creed that came out this year.
Yeah, and I think with the looming drop of Ghost of Yortai coming out, it's almost like you're already cooked a little bit because it's going to look visually better. The story's probably going to be better.
I feel like since it's come out, there's already been a handful of more interesting games come out. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's a perfectly good game.
Serviceable, yeah. It is, yeah. It's similar, and again, the Ubisoft problem 101 is it's the same
They
for
don't
me.
reach for greatness.
Yeah,
They're happy with good.
It's like Star Wars Outlaws was another one. It was like that game is great.
It's fine.
It's like if you're a Star Wars fan and you want to explore an open world and just have adventures and enjoy the music, the visuals, it's a great game. Same with Assassin's Creed Shadows. If you're into feudal Japan, if you like Assassin's style games, and if you just want to spend hours and hours exploring that world, it's great. It's just like you said, that next tier up, which puts it in the zeitgeist of Game of the Year conversation. I think it might win maybe one or two for music and visuals.
Too heavily. Yeah, I think they trained a bit too heavily on the IP. When you look at something like Expedition 33, which was made with a fraction of the staff and a fraction of the budget, and it looks better, it plays better, the music is amazing. It's like you can see a definite step up in quality and ambition. And Expedition 33 was ex-Ubisoft devs, so it's not a talent issue. There's something at the moment I think I've felt for a long time about Ubisoft where it feels like they're spending a lot of money, a lot of time and effort, but not quite getting what they want. They're never making bad games.
Yeah.
I don't think Ubisoft have made a single bad game in a long time. They're just not making games. Like, I was very much all in on Assassin's Creed Shadows, but by the time it came round to play it, Oblivion dropped and go, actually, I'd rather play that. And then I'm at Expedition 33, and I'm probably not playing it this year now.
Yeah, just gets knocked down the road, doesn't it, a little bit? But yeah, I think you're right. The Sunfall Interactive, that's 30 people, and Ubisoft's in the thousands. And it's almost like that problem of is it a game made by committee at this point of like, well, we need to have this, we need to have that, we need to do that, and then no one sat there going, should we do a story?
It's not focused. The story's really good.
Yeah,
the game doesn't focus on us.
And it's similar in every branch of work, and you'll be familiar, I'll be familiar with. It's like sometimes there's just too many chefs in the kitchen, and a simple message or a simple objective can get muddied when it needs to pass through so many hands or so many checks or so many time frames, and emails go back and forth, and people don't get back to each other, and then before you know it, several months has passed. Thousands of people have looked at it, and it's like, are we any closer? It's like, not really. But if you'd have given it to one or two people and went crack on, you'd have probably made more of a dent in the production pipeline.
Yeah, what I feel is the problem is with the game, it comes down potentially down to the game director. Is the game director's job there to check off all the box so a good game gets released, or is the game's directed to like drive the vision of the game and make sure all the systems interworks? Like, I felt like the way they handled the story and all the assassinations really got them rings on the map rather than what it used to do with Assassin's Creed. I've someone who played 2 last year where the narrative drove Ezio through his journey. Yeah, there's collectibles and open world sections and all that sort of stuff, but the narrative drove Ezio. Where now you just get these like, oh, here's a bunch of assassination targets, go kill them, and when you kill them, you learn a little bit more,
and then get several more.
Rather than having a story beat that drives it to go kill that person.
Yeah, just you've
outside
found
the opening cutscene.
Yeah, you found a letter. Go to this location where the letter suggests kill a person. Bring the letter back. It's like, okay, you're completely
you kill
right.
this person to get close to that person, but it's not.
Yeah, and that's where Ghost of Yortai is going to showcase hopefully what it should look like. We don't have long to wait, so hopefully that'll remedy it. Moving on a little bit to a game that I don't think either of us have played yet, which is such a shame. Doom the Dark Ages dropped on Game Pass in and amongst the flurry of Xbox titles that we got dropped. And yeah, for me, it's one that I'd love to just dedicate time to just play through Doom 2016, sorry, Eternal, and then this just back to back to back and have an absolute blast. Because they're fun.
Maybe that should be what we do. Maybe that should be a stream. We'll do it because I'm actually going on holiday in a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we hold off starting starting like a series till I get back, and maybe we'll look at FPC Firebreak, Doom the Dark Ages, maybe chuck some Mario Kart, chuck a few random one-offs in there.
Yeah, works for me.
Yeah,
but yeah, I just look at it and I think like every time I see more of this game, I'm like, God, it looks so fun. Pregnant pause.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just time to play everything.
I feel like we say that a lot nowadays. I hope our listeners don't.
Yeah,
I like to think our audience are the same. Where like, oh God, Chris Richie, yeah, I totally relate. As opposed to sitting here going, like God, do these two ever fucking shut up about not having time to play things? I think our audience are the same.
Though, we're trying to cover all the news. It's like, well, actually, we haven't played that way.
The ultimate irony to remember, folks, listeners out there, podcast freeloaders, is that the time we could be playing games is we're recording this show for you, we're gathering news for this show for you, we're editing this show for you, and we're publishing and posting this show out for you. That's a good, I'd say 4 hours of our lives at least that we could be playing games every single week. And then that's just not even discounting the live streams and everything else that goes on behind the scenes too.
Yeah.
Not that we're bitter
and
about
sleeping.
it.
I like to sleep occasionally.
I used to like to sleep until I had a child, but yeah. And then I guess final ones, which we won't get into Firebreak because it's not really came out so far this year. I'd probably say...
And we're planning to play it anyway, so...
Yeah. Monster Hunter Wilds, I guess, is the standout one for me that we've not touched on. Also, because it's not our type of game, but sold absolutely millions. Capcom smashing it, as per usual. I do feel like Monster Hunter Wilds has kind of gone a bit quiet. I know they usually rely on like the DLC packs and stuff to keep it ticking over, but I felt like the last one was just huge for about 6-7 months and still was successful. I feel like this one came out to huge fanfare, but then it's tapered off a lot sooner than I would have maybe thought it would have done.
What's its player base looking like? Because it might just be a case of we're not hearing about it.
Well, you tell me. I'm not too sure. It's again, I know it was just more of the same. I reviewed brilliantly. They said they've took everything from the last one, so in the game refined it more. The story, the characters, the narrative throughout. The monsters are more grand. There's more variation. Just as fun, and yet, yeah, even like the usual channels on socials that I see who would traditionally always play it, I've been hyped for it. I don't know if it's just been an extra busy year and they've moved on to play other things.
Yeah, so the all-time peak, looking at Steam DB, so that's just looking at Steam. The all-time peak was 3 months ago with 1.38 million players.
Oh, that's popular.
Yeah, it is. It's 24-hour peak, so we're recording this on Sunday, the 22nd, is 18,468 players. Right now, there's 11,827 players. I think it's fine. It's doing fine.
It's still quite a big drop-off, though.
Oh, yeah, but I feel like a game is you're always going to get that. It does have a few spikes in like the charts.
So it'll be the DLC, not DLC, like the monthly drops and stuff that they do, like new monsters and such quests.
Yeah, so on the 28th of April, 99,000 people were playing. Yeah,
that was the first big drop, I think.
Yeah. So I think it's probably going to sit around the 10 to 20,000 mark and get these spikes as new content comes out.
Yeah.
Because it might just be a case of a lot of the hardcore players have completed the content and just waiting for the next drop to jump back in.
That is usually the risk.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay then. Folks, let us know in the comments down below what your game of 2025 so far is. Is there anything else you've been playing? Anything you'd recommend for us that we should check out on the channel? As Richie said, we've got a couple of weeks to kind of dabble around in, see what else is out. Anything we've majorly missed, I think. Actually, you know what? One I didn't touch on, which is definitely in my Game of the Year conversation, is South of Midnight.
All right.
That was one that, I think I think because it was like a much shorter game, and I made a point of trying to get it out the way before I think I moved. I was like, no, power through, because I don't want to get 80% through a story-driven game and then have to leave it at like the final chapter. So I think I like really powered through, and because it was on Xbox, I wasn't like specifically looking for trophies, so I did just like kind of mainline it. Yeah, game's great. I think so far, I haven't finished Expedition yet, but I kind of have that feeling that Expedition's going to pip it like quite quickly, just because it's doing all the right things. But I thoroughly enjoyed South of Midnight. I think you will as well. I think your girlfriend will. It's one of them where 15 hours of your life. I think all the things that caught us when we saw it at the Xbox Showcase the previous year of like visually looks great, art style super interesting, characters brilliant, combat fun, and I think both of you and me just appreciate just exploring like a different culture that we've never really experienced before. And the great thing about the medium of gaming is you can spend time reading up about it more if you want to, enjoying the music as you're exploring around, learning about the characters and the mythology, and the kind of like, I didn't realize like the bayou and the swampy parts had like their own deep dark mythology of like creatures and characters that'll like come and steal your dreams in the middle of the night, and like they're all based in like true things, and the game just exaggerates them for storytelling's sake. But yeah, music was phenomenal. If this doesn't win some kind of music, but then again, Claire Obscura's got some fantastic music. Like I will say one thing: the Game Awards Symphony Orchestra presentation where they do the medley. I know it's a banger every year, but yeah, this year is going to have such rich pickings.
You're going to have South of Midnight, you're going to have Oblivion, you're going to have Claire Obscura, you're going to have Elden Ring in there.
Ghost of Yotei as
like,
well.
There's 4. Ghost of Yotei, it's just going to be awesome.
Stacked.
Doom?
Yeah.
Doom's going to be in there.
Yeah, you're going to have this random pivot halfway
Mario
through.
Kart.
The soundtrack to Mario Kart is terrific as well. It's like 20 years of Nintendo boiled down to like just some beautiful sounds. Yeah, I again, I know I recommend to you, but South of Midnight's definitely one I think you should not skip if you get a little pocket window, maybe where Assassin's Creed Shadows has fell off your radar. That's 100 hours you're going to get back.
Yeah, true.
Squeeze it in.
It's definitely on my list of games I want to play.
Yeah.
And I do actually have a list of games I want to play.
And in the future, Richie, we will be playing those games most likely on some new Xbox hardware. Moving on from Game of the Year Watch 2025 to some actual news this week. As I said, it's quite a week. Xbox announced the next-gen console strategy, promising deeper visuals and backwards compatibility. We got a video from Sarah Bond, randomly drop on YouTube this week, to reveal part of their multi-year agreement with AMD that includes working on the next generation of Xbox consoles. So we knew they were coming to hardware, but it's always nice when they come out and just like reaffirm, like, no, we're not going anywhere, Xbox fans. Like, yes, everything's an Xbox now, including your kettle, but so is your next Xbox. Yeah. She went on to basically talk about like the next gen hardware line. No like key details, but it will include console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. And then she goes on to hint at how the next generation consoles will be in your living room and in your hands. And I quote from the video, "I'm thrilled to share we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including next-gen consoles in your living room and in your hands." She then goes on to say that they're going to deliver the next generation of graphic innovation, resulting in deeper levels of visuals, as well as immersive gameplay experiences enhanced by the power of AI, that magic key buzzword. And then says, yes, the next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning. We can't wait to show you what's next. This goes on to, I guess, the rumors we've known for some time, and now the official confirmation of the Xbox Ally as well, is Microsoft looking at this just like this broader blanket. And we've been covering it for over 5 years now, Rich, haven't we, with the launch of Stadia and cloud gaming and Xbox Cloud, is that they've always been at the forefront of like pushing non-traditional gaming. Game Pass, of course, revolutionized the fact that like, look at how many games we've played that we would have otherwise had to spend £70 on, and we've completed like things like Indiana Jones and stuff. Didn't cost us a penny, all things said and done. But yeah, we're looking at the forefront of Xbox and where they're going. I think we're probably individuals who've maybe been able to see the bigger picture for a lot longer than most people. When everyone's out there going, oh, Xbox is dead, they're in third place, all this and that, is we very much sat here almost every week and said, yes, they're in third place, but they're still selling millions and millions of boxes. And then we're sat here thinking like now Stadia's gone, their cloud gaming is arguably one of the best. Game Pass is undeniably the best value in gaming. They've bought more studios than we have hairs on our head. And we're starting to hit that point now where the cadence of game drops is so rapid, we can't even keep up. So if you're like a teenager who's got nothing to do in your life other than sit and play games, you are eating better than anyone has in the history of gaming ever. For as little as, what do we pay, $14.99 a month?
Something like that,
You just get everything you could ever possibly want. And then now you can also play it on anything. So it's like their industry, their branch of Xbox, it just covers it. And it's like, I understand where they've had to put a lot of investment in. But I think in a world where all we talk about is layoffs and cuts and budgets and shares and all the mundane, boring shit, I actually think Xbox, out of the three of them, they're spending the most. They're trying to do the most different. And I think they're making essentially positive moves. And I think a commitment to the future with AMD, with handheld, with cloud, with accessories, I think it's a sign of good things to come.
Yeah, I agree. I think of the three main platform holders at the moment, Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. Sony, we can pretty much guarantee at this point in time the PlayStation 6 is going to be exactly what you expect. It's going to be the next line in a long history of PlayStations. You're going to have to probably, the big thing, I think the big change will be probably no physical games. I think that could be a thing for Sony, because I feel like that's the way it's going. Xbox, Nintendo have just launched Switch 2, which is literally the Switch but better, which is exactly what I wanted from Nintendo. But these are kind of both very safe options. I feel like Microsoft are the ones being the most kind of creative with the business strategy around things and how they're delivering the games and how they're basically putting it in the hands of you to decide how to play their games. Especially now they're coming to Sony and to Nintendo with a lot of their first party titles. They just want you playing their games. That seems to be the main focus for them.
Yeah, they are, for all intents and purposes, just like a third-party publisher now. But the only people who dictate that to being a bad thing is the gamers and the gaming wars and the gaming press, where it's like, well, actually, as a business, having your products in as many places as possible, giving access to as many games as possible, the path of least resistance, Richie. You got a phone, you can play games. You can't afford £80 for a title, there's Game Pass. There's almost like no reason why this isn't a good thing. But because I think the history of the industry, and people are like, oh, well, look what happened to Sega, and they're in third place and all that, but you think like, well, that's not the be all and end all when it comes to business and longevity. And I think as gaming costs go up, and we've seen studios like across the board suffer, like Ubisoft, one we spoke about already today, and layoffs and such. Is this the worst case model, or is actually some of the more proactive moves that are going to set them up for the next 10 years? And I think that's what we've always spoken about, haven't we? It's not about the now, it's about the next 10 years. The cloud gaming was about the next 10 years. And that's why it annoyed us so much when Google threw the towel in after 3 years, because it's like we saw what the future could be with the next generations and the kids that are growing up now, and that's all they've ever known is their phone.
With Google throwing the towel in, it felt very much like, because they didn't get the start they wanted, that they give up. When it's like, surely when you were sitting down to develop this thing, you must have been having conversations about this is going to be a long-term investment. There might be a slow upkeep, but as long as we keep supporting it, keep improving it, and getting the games over, eventually you will have that potential snowballing effect where because Google Stadia literally had the ability to play anywhere, which Xbox has now stolen.
Yeah, play anywhere.
So
it's definitely an alternate universe that you could be in, but I think it's mad to think that, I know we've said time and time again, but the thing that they sat in a room, shareholders, and got their budgets together and didn't think it would take at least 10 years. Like, Xbox didn't really hit gold until the 360s. That was already a second generation in. And they basically like tapped out before they even got any first party games done. And it's like, I know. We won't go into it too much though, because we're talking about the future of Xbox, but it just makes you think, doesn't it? It's like, well, as much as everyone's given Xbox like criticism, they are committing to the future of gaming. They're trying every avenue possible. They're doing as many things. And again, this is from a third place position, so they have to be aggressive. But as a consumer, I look at it and go, right, so now I'm going to have a handheld option. Now I'm going to have an option to have Steam and stuff and playing on those devices as well. They support backwards compatibility more than anyone else. I also have the option to play hardware-wise if I want to. I can play on my PC if I want to. I can stream it if I want to. And hell, if I want to play on my PS5, I can do that as well because all the games are coming across the PS5. So as a consumer, my options are seemingly endless. So why anyone would not like that? It's a baffling take for me. As a gamer, not a business person, it's better than you've ever had it. So enjoy it. Any takes on just AMD partnering with them? I'm not really into the whole chipset world, but I know AMD aren't as big as Nvidia. But
I feel this is by the books. AMD have typically been provided cheaper option cards that can almost go head to head with Nvidia. So quite often in the PC building community for a long time, AMD was actually probably the smarter choice in a lot of ways, unless you're going for like top end power, because you could get almost an equivalent performance for cheaper. Things like like AMD, it was a super FX resolution and DSSL or whatever. That stuff, I think I've changed it, and the AI capabilities of cards definitely have changed things up a bit. I'm not sure where things stand right now, but they're partnered with one of the big two GPU manufacturers, really. I know Intel are kind of involved. Yeah, but I don't know where that stands right now.
All things said and done, it's those business commitments to the future of hardware. So that means that they're in a deal with AMD to produce the seemingly next Xbox console, the next handheld, whatever that looks like. That they're in it for the long run. So long may it continue. Moving away to some video game talk, we've got a rumor that the God of War rumor that's been going for quite some time, actually. There was rumors of a reboot and then a remake of the original trilogy, or just the first one. Was it a spin-off where Kratos goes back to Greece? It turns out that as the kind of details slowly leak out more and more about this title, this is a 2.5D Metroidvania style game, which will be going back to Greece, but it's not in the typical style we've came to know from God of War over the last kind of 6 or 7 years. They're looking for it in a similar style and scope to the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown that came out last January, right?
Lost Crown, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because it was in loads of Game of the Year conversation. This is from Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb. He said the title's very much on its way, but it's been internally delayed to 2026 at this point, so it looks like it's going to need a little bit more time in the oven. Richie, where are we sitting on a 2.5D? We know there's been rumours about a spin-off God of War series, maybe focusing on a trace. We know Cory Barlog has a separate team in the works, and he has been doing for many, many years now, while Ragnarok was into production, into launch, into post-production. He must be getting ready to show off whatever his game is. I don't think this is it. I think this is a 2.5D Metroidvania game. I think that's probably going to be shipped out to someone else, kind of like Horizon Lego Adventures was. I think this is probably a second-party deal that's coming. He's the IP. Make us something that uses the franchise, but doesn't get in the way of our main focus of AAA storytelling, blockbuster.
Yeah, I think that might be it. Or it could be a smaller title that they've developed in-house because they've had a cool idea for it.
Yeah.
But to be honest, God of War does lend itself really quite well to a Metroidvania style. Actually, the God of War reboot games are kind of Metroidvania in a way, in the 3D element.
Yes, I would agree.
As you unlock new abilities, you can get to new areas, and you're constantly having to backtrack and go down different routes. I think it could work really well. It'd be interesting narratively. Is this going to be after God of War Ragnarok? Because then he could have the Leviathan axe as part of his equipment.
Yeah, well,
or is it just going to be before?
Well, it said going back to Greece. So you're right. I don't know if it's going back to Greece as in he's returning to where he's been in the previous games, or he's returning in the aftermath. But at the same time, this is where I think keeping it 2.5D and keeping it separate from the main story, I'm not expecting it to have much outside of maybe like levels of like, you're in this part of Greece, there's a boss fight at the end, navigate through this particular puzzly map, find a few collectibles, level up, defeat some generic enemies, and then move on to the next level.
I'm thinking less narratively, but more mechanically, because I could see how the things like getting the Leviathan axe, because you can throw it and you could probably throw that to unlock doors when it's frozen, and you get to areas that if you start off with, say, just the Blades of Chaos, you couldn't reach. Or upgrading things like the Blades of Chaos, you could potentially swing over like chasms that you couldn't do because it's on the chain. So it's more things like, okay, does he have the full arsenal of equipment that he gets by the end of Ragnarok? Turn that into 2D. What can we do in terms of that puzzle-solving mechanic of getting around the world? So I actually think this could be really, really cool.
Yeah, it works. And we've said a few times before, like, I would quite happily take a lot of PlayStation IP made into different games. I think Horizon would work really well with this type of game as well, where just like, give me a little tiny cutesy story where the characters have maybe a cartoonish art style to them, or they look a little bit different, or maybe retro pixelated, and let me run left to right, kill enemies that look like Horizon. Imagine like little
Horizon would definitely work. Like,
you've got your bow and arrow,
just different arrows for your bows, different types of bows.
Yeah,
to get around.
Different robot dinosaurs to climb on, but from a 16-bit pixel perspective. Imagine just Horizon music bopping off in 16-bit, and then you get the end. You fight a big T-Rex, and you get some skill points, you get some XP, you add stuff to your attributes, and then you go to the next level, which is another lush environment, and you keep going. So yeah, I'm all for Sony exploring this kind of thing. It's been rumored to be delayed, but also we haven't had an official announcement, so take, I guess, everything with a pinch of salt. It might never see the light of day, but I don't mind it. So we saw Lego Horizon Adventures, so they're clearly willing to work on newer things. But yeah, I guess we'll probably see if it's been delayed till next year, maybe Game Awards. We'll see a tease for it. But more importantly, I'm intrigued to just see what Cory Barlog's been working on, because it's been a while since the original God of War came out, and he was not the director on Ragnarok. So he's been in his little silo for probably, 5+ years now, which is more than enough time to get a game out. So
I feel like for whatever he's working on was probably deprioritized until Ragnarok was finished, though. So
it would have been a smaller pre-production.
About 3-4 years.
Yeah, right. It's been a while since Ragnarok, which is scary to say. Moving on, though, as we wind down the show this week, we've got some Game Pass and PlayStation Plus news to hit you with. New titles coming out for June include, brace yourself, FBC Firebreak, which we knew about. That's available today on Game Pass. Out now. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, is also available now. Just dropped this week. Lost in Random, The Eternal Die, which is that nice little EA published game, which is not due a success, but I think the studio's next game was revealed. That looks quite similar. Lost in Random looks great as well. Star Trucker, Wild Frost, Rematch are all coming out as well. Rematch is the Sifu people.
They're 3 different games. It's not Star Trucker, Wild Frost, Rematch.
It kind of does work, though. Now you've said that back to me. Yes, I don't know what Star Trucker is. I don't know what Wild Frost is. But Rematch is the one that I am intrigued, possibly for a playthrough on a live stream, because it's Sifu, but it's football. And Rocket League meets Sifu, I guess. And it's reviewing quite well. It is saying it's like gameplay is very fun and frenetic. Volcano Princess, also out. Against the Storm, also out. Big one for you, Richie. Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 remastered/reforged, all coming June 26th. So it's out of nowhere. You can go back and play the original amazing Warcraft series for free.
I don't know where Warcraft 3 Reforged stands nowadays, but I'm sure at launch it was problematic. Yeah. It had a very problematic launch. But I mean, it's nice to have all 3 of them.
It's been out, over half a year now, so they've got to have fixed it and patched it, you would hope.
I've never actually played 1 and 2.
You
say that, though. It was Activision.
Yeah.
So it's different now, but let's see.
Yeah. I've played 2 and I absolutely loved 3. And then 3 was where it left me, where it was like, I cannot believe, because they doubled down so much on World of Warcraft. We've never had a Warcraft 4. How has that not happened? But
money.
Blizzard will keep it in the tank, I'm sure, for one day when they want a bit of nostalgia. They'll dig it out and you'll see the logo come up. Warcraft 4.
I feel like a Warcraft 4 is probably more likely now Activision is owned by Xbox.
Yeah,
because
agreed.
I feel like Phil Spencer would be willing to greenlight it if those people working in the Warcraft team went to him and go, we want to make Warcraft 4.
Yeah.
Where I feel like Activision probably went, no, World of Warcraft is making this insane amount of money. Do more of that.
Yeah. And you've got that cross-pollination of studios now, as you said, where maybe the Age of Mythology remaster people are like, well, we've just finished with Age of Mythology. We're free. Do you want us to do anything else? And then now it's all internal. They can go, well, actually, you just made a cracking RTS game. Do you want to work with Blizzard on a Warcraft 4? And they'd probably be chomping at the bit to do something like that. And their expertise is in RTS. So it's interesting, yeah, as you said, it's now the part of the Xbox family, that sharing of assets and stuff, which we see work so well with the Sony teams. Be interesting to see how it pans out across the board over there. We also have Call of Duty World War II dropping for the first time, coming on June 30th. Little Nightmares 2 at the beginning of July, and Rise of the Tomb Raider also coming 1st of July. So all in all, cracking month for Game Pass.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid additions.
You've got plenty of variety, new games, old games, classics, award-winning titles. And what if even if you just gave me that list of games, that would probably see me out the rest of the year. If I hadn't played anything before.
It's a diverse list as well.
Yeah. And that also includes, remember, because it's Game Pass, back to what we said about Xbox and the future of Xbox, that also includes all of the bangers that came out over the last several months. So if you want to go play Indiana Jones because you've not got around to it yet, that's there. If you want to go play Expedition 33, potential Game of the Year award-winning, that's there. If you want to go play Indiana Jones, that's there. Like Doom Dark Ages, that's there. It's mad.
We should let people know, though, especially for people like Rob, if you want to play My Friend Peppa Pig, you have to do it before the 30th of June. Otherwise, you're going to have to buy it.
That's true.
Rob, you might have to pull your wallet out.
Few things leaving, unfortunately. Pivoting away to PlayStation Plus then, let's see what they've got on offering for that one. Of course, the full catalogue, the full library if you're on Premium. But we've got FBC Firebreak also coming with crossplay. So if you've got friends on Xbox who are playing it on Game Pass, they can also jump in with you too because it's cross-platform. Battlefield 2042 is dropping ahead of some DLC this week for Mass Effect. I saw that. It's not in our news, but there's some Mass Effect skins coming to Battlefield 2042, which surprised me because I can't believe Battlefield 42 is still getting support. Then also doubly surprised me. It's like as if they're still chipping away at Mass Effect, but they're not telling us anything about the new Mass Effect game. It's like, just stop. It's like with Ubisoft and Splinter Cell. Stop teasing us if you've not got anything to show us. But it's some cool DLC nonetheless. So what a time to jump into Battlefield 2042. Ahead of the announcement later this year, I think EA have still stressed that they are going to announce the next entry by the end of 2025. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 is also coming. Is also out, sorry. The Hunter Call of the Wild, which is one where you go and shoot deer. That's also out. And probably one for Rob. We Love Katamari, Reroll Royal Reverie is also out. Yeah.
Reroll Plus.
Ayuden Chronicles 100 Heroes is one of those games that I feel like it's probably on the 7th entry and I've never heard of it before in my life.
Yeah, I feel like it's a weird deep cut JRPG
that
I'm not familiar with.
The font and characterization of the art style makes me think it's exactly like what I think it is, but I'll not lay judgment. Train Sim World 5 is out as well. If you want to go check out some simulation things, our friend Lee over at Cloud Game and Dad is still doing simulation games, I believe. Endless Dungeon Standard Edition is also out. And then PlayStation Plus Premium is going to benefit from the additional classic PS2 title, Deus Ex: The Conspiracy, coming to PS4 and PS5 for the first time. So there's a classic title in there too. Compared with Game Pass, bit weaker. But it's all subjective, so what are you going to do? Final stories, Richie. One of the ones I wanted to touch on is Nintendo Switch 2. As much as it is off to a flying start, it does appear that, according to some reports, Christopher Dring over at thegamebusiness.com specifically, is that sales figures around the Switch 2 launch event, even though it sold over 3.5 million, is the percentage of games that are third party is incredibly low by comparison. So obviously things like And we know that, don't we? Because the pack-in games like Mario Kart is almost going to sell 1-for-1. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe actually had a higher than 1.1 attach rate, which meant some people were buying 2 copies of Mario Kart, which is just baffling. But yeah, the key numbers are that 48% of physical games sold in the UK were first-party titles. For Switch 2 includes the bundle. But if not, Switch 2 physical games in the UK were for predominantly first-party, which means a lot lower percentage.
I'm not surprised by this, though, because while a lot of the third-party games that are coming are really cool, like Cyberpunk, I think most people who want to play Cyberpunk have had plenty of chances to play it. So I'm not surprised at games like that being lower, because it's been out for a while. Same with Hogwarts Legacy. Amazing game.
Yeah.
But you've had quite a lot of time to play. And I feel like we're in very much the early adopter phase as well, where I feel like most people getting a Switch 2 either have a Switch or have another console at this point. I feel like the numbers may change come early next year after that first Christmas.
Yeah.
So if you're buying a Switch 2, I dare say most people are buying it right now for Mario Kart or to check out something like Tears of the Kingdom, like a Nintendo first party running new hardware, and maybe interested in picking up something else.
Yeah.
I reckon Split Fiction is probably a great title for the Switch, though.
Yeah, it's and it's something I've experienced myself. Well, I know I joked and said I'd bought like Arkham Asylum and such, but there is that thing where it's like new shiny console, not really much new to play. Like, I've enjoyed Mario Kart, but don't get me wrong, I keep looking at the online eShop and going, what do I want to play? Like, I feel like I want something new and there's nothing there. And again, Mario Kart's great, but it kind of kills half an hour to an hour here and there. I want something to like commit to long term.
Mario Kart is one of them things that you want permanently installed, ideally digitally, on your Switch, and then you will never delete it, because once in a blue moon, you just go, I fancy a game of Mario Kart, and you play for an hour, and then you put it down, and not touch it for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. I think having all the older games is great. Cyberpunk apparently runs surprisingly fantastic, and you've got all the other things.
I'm not surprised by the low sales in them. Like,
yeah. And I know loads of people have gone back to like Zelda and stuff and went, oh, it runs so good. Like Pokemon runs better and stuff now as well. But it's like, it is an older game. So I think there's a lot of stakes on Donkey Kong next month. We're probably, 3 weeks out from Donkey Kong now? They had a direct.
I feel like everything's going to be absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I don't think anyone's worried.
Like,
I just think it's a bit of a, it seems like a good launch lineup on paper, but then I think if you are already into gaming, it's been there, done that, which is where I'm at.
The launch lineup is actually very, very strong if you haven't already played most of the games.
Yeah, and that's where it's getting me, where I'm like, I want to play it, but
and because it is very much propped up by older games remastered or brought to Nintendo for the first time, these are either games that you've had access to and didn't play, like the Zeldas.
Yeah.
Like they're Switch 1 games, so I've already got them. So if you've already had a Switch before, so if you wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom, you could have done, and you didn't. So they're the sort of games that are being propped up. So, I mean, when I get my Switch 2, I'm going to boot up things like Tears of the Kingdom just because I want to have a look.
Yeah.
But I'm not probably going to do a full playthrough. I'll wait for the next Zelda for that.
Exactly.
But I could look into Wind Waker. I wouldn't mind playing Wind Waker on my Switch 2.
Yeah, and waiting for Donkey Kong's got me. I think I watched some of the direct this week, and I think it just looks super fun. I think it's from the Super Mario Odyssey team. Everyone seems pretty certain of. And yeah, the direct just made me go, yes, I am more interested in it. So
we've got Pokemon Legends coming up as well.
That's true. So yeah, there's stuff in the pipeline. I think just for a launch thing, I'm not surprised third party struggle a little bit.
It could have maybe done with Donkey Kong being day one as well.
Yeah, it's odd that it's a month out. Like the cadence of what they're trying to do, I guess you could see it, but
to give Mario Kart the chance to shine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't overwhelm Donkey Kong.
Absolutely. And then the final quick ones, Richie. Well, actually, final quick one. The last story of the week is we've got a Capcom Spotlight announced for June 26th. So when the show goes live, you're talking a couple of days out. We only mentioned it briefly the other day, but we did, of course, get the reveal of Resident Evil 9, or Requiem, as it is. I've seen a few people who've got hands-on.
Resident Evil.
And the Q is the 9. I don't know if you spotted that in the
Yeah.
the trailer, so they've been funny with the numbering. Again, we're introduced to Grace Ashcroft in a destroyed Raccoon City. There's a big focus on rumours that it's going to be Leon is going to be back in this one as well. He's probably going to be a damn sight older, or he should be. Do you think we're going to get an old Solid Snake version of Leon here? Eye patch and grey hair included? It's been 30 years since the events of Raccoon City. But he's back.
But it might also be in game only been like 10 years.
I'd kind of like him to be aged up though, just to make it feel different. But yeah, we get Grace Ashcroft, which apparently her mother has been in other versions of Resident Evil, but I'm not 100% up on the lore of that one. But this spotlight is going to focus on Resident Evil Requiem and Pragmata, which was the sci-fi game with the little girl on the shoulder who had like special laser powers and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, it did look cool, but I think for you and me, I think Resident Evil's the main one. We've both enjoyed Biohazard. We enjoyed Village. I'm still waiting for them to get back and bloody do the 1 remake before I actually commit to the series and kind of play catch up and I guess complete the circuit in a weird way.
What, Chris? What about this? What if they didn't do a Resident Evil 1 remake, but they brought Resident Evil 1 remake to Switch Online?
No.
Because they've already done it for the GameCube.
Yeah, but that's old as shit now. You were talking about a GameCube controller.
The remake is really old.
Yeah, I want it in the RE engine is what I want. I want to be able to sit there and play through 1, 2, 3, 4 in the RE engine, enjoy Biohazard Village, and then Requiem. There's still a bit of a gap with 5 and 6. I did play 6, actually, with one of our friends in co-op mode, and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like, it's more action than it is horror. So I don't really remember anything of it.
I feel
just
like
running around
5 and 6 are the kind of dark horses of the Resident Evil franchise. I feel like they should do 1 and probably 0 and maybe Cub Veronica, that kind of thing.
So they've got
and
stuff.
Then focus on the newer stuff.
Yeah, they've got stuff in their tank to make, like, again, just I guess kind of totally revitalize the series and complete the circuit.
Give them 5 and 6 a remaster, but not a full remake, just to get them there.
I think they'd like to go back in and tweak it more, like they did with some of the elements of 3 and 4 remake, where it's like actually take the good bits, improve the bad bits, and kind of repackage it. But who knows? I'm still clambering for them to do a bloody Dino Crisis remake. That's still set. While they're doing Pragmata and another RE and all these remakes, it's like, yes, I love the thought you're doing Code Veronica. I love the thought you're doing 0. Do Dino Crisis. I want to see dinosaurs in the RE engine. Come on, do it. But in the meantime, Requiem looks great. We had news this week that it's both playable in first and third person. So we found that with Village, if you recall, with the Rose DLC, that was in third person, but then later on they added the ability to play the full game of Village in either, which I don't know how I feel, because I think sometimes the first person perspective has added a lot of elements of horror to it, but then you can't deny their roots being in classic third person, walking down a corridor, something jumps out at you kind of horror. So I like the options there. I just hope it doesn't hamper the director's vision of the game. Yeah. But yeah, Requiem, February, so it's not too far off. So I'm hoping the spotlight's probably just gonna show us another character or two, no doubt. Maybe another boss fight or two, glimpses at it. But yeah, not too long until we return to Raccoon City, Richie.
Not too long indeed.
And I believe we might have the full playthrough of Village up on the channel soon. I saw you tinkering behind the scenes.
Yeah, to be honest, I edited that about 6 months ago and completely
rendered it. Wow, so it just sat there.
I was cleaning up my hard drive and went, the project's there. All the files are there. I opened the project, but the main actual video is there. I checked on the channel, I was like, no, I haven't uploaded it.
Probably should get on that.
Yeah, so it is on the channel, but I was in the middle of like sorting the Pokemon, and I was having to empty my hard drive so I could actually render Pokemon, because my hard drive was full.
We'll get into that stage.
So I literally let them both render overnight and just chucked it straight up. So I haven't dealt with the description or anything yet.
Well, there you go then.
So it'll be coming out at some point.
Some point soon. But that's it for this week's episode of the GamerGuild Podcast, of course. Let us know in the comments below what you're playing this week, what your expectations are for Capcom, what your game of the year is so far. If you haven't done so already, head to the description, find our Discord link, and join myself, Richie, and a bunch of wonderful gamers over there who talk shop every single day, pretty much in a various list of categories. And just enjoy the world of video games. Richie, we like to end every show with this day in video game history. We're recording on a little bit later this week, June 22nd. Any particular standout titles for you through yesteryear?
Final Fantasy 16. 2 years ago.
It's already 2 years.
I know. It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, that makes sense. Just after Hogwarts Legacy, I think I moved on to that one. So that makes sense. Let's have a look. Anything in history?
Oh, June the 23rd is an absolute banger of a day.
Oh, yes. So June 23rd, 34 years ago in 1991, we got Sonic the Hedgehog on the Genesis. Then
29 years ago, we got the N64.
The actual N64 in Japan, 1996, which was, of course, accompanied by...
Ape Escape 3 years later in the PlayStation.
No, Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64.
Super Mario 64, 29. So Mario 64 will be 30 years old next year. Damn. Yes, 1999, 26 years ago, we got the wonderful Ape Escape, which has seen a bit of a resurgence thanks to Astro Bot and Metal Gear Solid. 25 years ago on the PC, we got Deus Ex, the original. That's pretty cracking. Let's scroll down, see if there's anything else.
Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass on the DS. A game I could never get into because it used the stylus as part of its control. It was a bit weird. It wasn't terrible, but it's like, it's not what I want.
I found a painful one.
What?
Batman Arkham Knight, 10 years ago on PS4 and Xbox One. Just your reminder that Rocksteady have done nothing good since, other than Suicide Squad, which came and went.
13 years ago, we got Pokemon Black and White 2.
Wow. So June seemingly a good month for video game releases. Yeah, you got consoles and a bunch of amazing titles as well. But that does bring us to the end of this week's show. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for tuning in and all your support. Big shout out to all our GamerGuild heroes out there who support us that extra little bit further, which you can do by clicking join below on the video. Again, I didn't really mention it earlier on, but the merchandise store, if you do want to head over and pick up some merch, I know it's been very, very hot recently, Richie. We've not actually mentioned the weather on this podcast, which is very surprising.
Buy yourself a nice hoodie.
I was going to say one of these, the stretchy, I guess Under Armour is the best way to describe them type tops. I wear this for football most weeks. It's stretchy, it's breathable, but more importantly, 26th of June, so later on this week, there is a 20% off everything sale going on. So if you want to get yourself some breathable fabric clothing for the hot summer weeks ahead, or maybe you just want some of our new merch, head over there and merchandise yourself up. But that's been it for this week's show. My name has been Chris.
And I've been Richie.
We've been the GamerGuild Podcast. And remember, folks, play whatever makes you the happiest. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.